Hey everybody, Mr. K back and working in the new shop and going to show you what I'm doing today. Got a pan head. All right, but today we got customer brought their bike in. We did a service. I took it for a ride and I thought, wow, something's pulling this thing. And so checked it all out, and here his neck bearings are really tight. Okay, I don't know if you can notice this, but oh, it takes so much pressure to turn it, and it doesn't. It's like really, yeah. So we're gonna do neck bearings. So I have neck bearings ordered, and so to start this, I got it up on one of my lifts. And I will tell you that if you're using one of these lifts, they're great. Make sure you're on a solid frame both ways. And what I always like to do is I like to put a ratchet strap around the frame and one of the legs of the jack. So this Softail is pretty nice. It's got nothing hanging down or anything, so we can put it right on the frame and hold it. So what I'm going to start doing is I'll show you. We'll start taking off everything, slipping those fork tubes out of there and getting so we can access those neck bearings. Okay. Alrighty, I'll let you know how we're doing. Okay guys, well, first thing I did was I took off the brakes. I took off the two 10mm bolts, and then I'll leave it over here. And I took off the brackets that hang the line off the trees. Okay. Then I went ahead and just took the wheel off. Okay, so we have the axle and slipped it out of the wheel, took the fender off with some Torx bolts, and then took his tool bag off. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is get these covers off. Took that cover off, and then what I'm going to do is get these covers off, and we'll loosen the pinch bolt, take the top cap nut off, and we'll slip these fork tubes out. Now hopefully his trees aren't twisted or anything like that, and they'll slip right out. Give them a good coat of WD-40 or something as you're slipping them out, because you don't want to scratch the finish of your tubes. You can see how tough them bearings are locked up. Oh yeah, there you go. All right, I'll keep showing you how we're going. Okay guys, so always you want to make sure that everything's protected. So I have these heavy leather bibs. I can't even remember where I got them from. I got them years ago, and I always use those anytime I'm doing any kind of handlebar work or as this. But as you can see, I took the caps off here, and then I took the center nut off. Okay, and then as you this thing here, this is the center nut. It's got a lock tab on it, but it's all beat up, so we're going to go ahead and put a new one on there. Okay, yeah. All right, now I'm going to be able to access the neck bearings area. So first off though, I'm going to go ahead and unbolt the headlight, because see the wires go to the headlight. I'm going to unbolt it and move it over here to the side. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the pinch bolts and take them so I can drop the fork tubes out. And that'll help me later when I'm trying to get that lower bearing off. And then this is a star nut, so we're going to take that off, and that'll allow you to drop the steering stem down out of the frame. Okay, pretty simple, but there you go. Alrighty. Okay guys, so listen, whenever you're taking these forks out of there, so what I do is I spray a little bit of stuff on here. I'm trying to do it without, all right, like that. And then I'll work it around just to make sure, and then clean it with a rag so that if there's any kind of dirt or anything like that, because when you slip it down through here, you don't want nothing scratching this, okay? Also too, whenever you're taking that down out of there, don't twist it, okay? Because it could put little zigzags on the finish of your fork. So, and that's not real cool for your customers. So make sure it's super clean. And then go ahead and put a nice little, you know, put some WD-40 on there. I use Blaster. And then loosen that pinch bolt and then slip it right out of there, straight down. Okay. All right, guys, got the bottom tree out, and it came out actually better than I thought it would. But here's that bearing, and it's pretty dry. It's really dry. And there's our race. That's pretty rough too. I'll have to get a light. Yeah, that's pretty rough when you turn it. Wow. Now, he said that he used to grease it with the grease fitting, and you can see when we get to the lower tree, the lower bearing has got lots of grease. So the gravity sure helps out on the grease for the lower tree. But we're going to go ahead and replace them both. So I'm going to get these bearings, I got to get this set of bearings off of this neck, clean it all up, and we'll get the race out of that frame. And then by tomorrow, the bearing kit should be here, and we'll hopefully get him back on the road. So, all right, that's where we're at. We got a Duece Softail with neck bearings. Okay. All right, stay tuned. Okay, guys, I'm going to try and explain this to you, how I pulled that race out of the frame. So the race sits in the frame, and I have these tools, and they have this edge along the bottom. So what you do is you stick them down in there in the top. A lot easier to tell you, right? And then you can see this bottom lip here. You stick them down in there like that, okay? And then the handle I have comes up through the center, and then you tap on the bottom of the handle with a small hammer or light hammer, and it drives the race right out nice and neat. So you do need these tools to get that race out. I mean, if you had a long flat drift, you might be able to get it out too, but it's just real easy. And you can see, look how rough that race is, and then the bearing is so dry. When you put it in there, you can almost hear it. It's just, it locks up right there. Okay, so they're definitely needed done. Okay, so let's show you where we're at here. And there you go. We got the race out. I'm going to clean all that up and do the same with the lower. Use those bearing tools to get those races out. And then we'll go ahead and install the new ones. Okay, that one had lots of grease because, like I said, he said he greased it, but the gravity went down and nothing got to the top. You can almost see that. It only went up so high. and then the other bearing is dry. Okay, gonna keep on going. Okay guys, so we're gonna get this lower bearing off. I cleaned it all up in the parts washer, and actually it doesn't feel bad at all, but I got the guy a new set of bearings, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put on a new set of bearings. So what it tells you to do is you take and you bust off this, you bust it off like this, and I'm trying to do it with one hand, but just bust it off, and you bust off your outer race and remove all the rollers. Okay, so you can just do that, cut them off. Once you get it off, then what you do is you'll mount it and heat this inner race up. Okay, and I'll show you, I mount mine in a vise over here with soft jaws, so I don't hurt any of this, and then I heat it and it'll drop right off. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. It's tough to do with one hand, so I'll show you that here in a minute, but basically that's what you're going to do. You just deform it, cut it off, remove the cage and the rollers, and then heat this inner bearing race to where it expands and drops off. Then you can go ahead and remove your dust seal or leave it on there and install your new bearing. Okay? All right. Okay guys, so I mounted my tree upside down in a vise that's not going to hurt the threads. And I have a little propane torch. And remember, you got to get it pretty hot, and you get it hot enough to where it comes down out of there. Okay, so I'm going to let that cool and then get the rest of it cleaned up, and then we'll wait for our new bearings to get here, and I'll show you how to install them. Alrighty. Okay everybody, I got our new bearings in the mail, and take a look at those races. Nice. Then here's the one we took out. Awful. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pack these bearings with some harder wheel bearing grease so that they stay in there. And they say to pack your wheel bearing, or pack your neck bearings about every 20,000 miles, and usually every 5,000 miles you're going to grease it, okay, with some special purpose grease they call it, but I like to use a thicker, harder wheel bearing grease. And they want you to pump that until you see it not only coming out the bottom, but when it starts coming out the top. And that's what really got this bike, is there was lots of grease at the bottom, and we got the race out of there. I'm going to install the new races, and you just tap them in there till they're fully seated with the driver. But you want to continuously pump your neck bearing grease until it comes out the top too. So, but that happens. Alrighty, we're going to continue on. Okay, everybody, got our new races in the neck, and they're seated. Let's see if I can show you that right there. There they go. Yep, it's nice and seated. All right. There's a couple things you can do to put them in. There's a tool like this. This goes on the bottom, that goes on the top, and you can just run the nut in until it's makes them go solid. I actually made this thing to where it hits the outer race, and I just hammer it in until the sound makes a difference, and then you know you're in there square. Okay, I also got my bearing packed. Okay, and then we're going to get it seated down on the bottom, and this is the tool to do it. It's just a piece of tubing with a cap welded on the end, and it is the same size as the inner race of the bearings, so you drive it in till it's all the way down and seated. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and get that on there, and then I'll show you where we're at. Pretty much everything else then is just a reverse assembly. We'll put it all back together, and then we'll get to where we need to set our fall away. All righty. Okay, everybody, we got everything back together pretty good. And the last thing to do is set your fall away. Okay, and your fall away adjustment is right here. That's the star nut that keeps tension on the bearings. Okay, this nut here pretty much keeps your top tree down. All right, and so what you want to do is you want to get that tightened, and I have to adjust a little more, but you're going to set the wheel straight. Some people have an indicator. You put a mark on the fender, and you should turn it. You should be able to turn it 1 inch to 2 inches before it falls away. Okay, so if you have an indicator, there's about 1 inch, and then if you keep going more, it falls away. So I might go a touch bit more, but that is how you set your fall away. And that's so that your bearings are set right. They're not going to be too tight. They're not going to be too loose. And that's it. So that's how you do neck bearings on a Softail. So hopefully people got that. It didn't take a lot of special tools, but anyway, so here we are in the new shop. So hopefully you guys keep tuning in and seeing different things. And as always, God bless. Let me know what you think and hit subscribe. Thanks a lot. God bless.